All right, so buckle up because today we're diving into something big happening in Pacific Beach. PB pathways. We're talking maps, plans, community feedback, the works, to really unpack what's brewing over there.
You know what I think is so interesting about this? It's not just your run-of-the-mill road work, This PB Pathways thing, they're really trying to shift the entire vibe of the neighborhood. Make it more about people, less about cars, safer, closer, all that good stuff.
Wow, that's what I'm talking about. But just so everyone listening is on the same page, could you give us a quick breakdown of what PB Pathways is actually all about? What's the vision?
Basically, imagine this. You're strolling to dinner, kids are biking to school, all in these quieter streets that are actually designed for it. And I don't just mean allowing bikes and pedestrians, I mean truly prioritizing them. That's the whole idea behind a neighborhood greenway.
So it's less cars rule the road and more like people first kind of thing.
Exactly. And the thing is, PG already has designated bike boulevards, plenty of them actually. But let's be real, they don't quite live up to the name just yet.
Yeah.
PB Pathways is all about changing that, putting some real infrastructure behind those designations.
Gotta walk the walk, not just talk the talk, right?
Right.
Speaking of walking, I did notice that these talking points we have really emphasize safety, like a lot. Protecting kids on bikes, making it easier for our senior citizens to get around. It's definitely a priority.
Oh, absolutely. Safety is really the core of this whole project. And the interesting thing is, it's not just about making things safer for pedestrians or cyclists. When you design streets for everyone, drivers included, there are fewer surprises, fewer conflicts, and ultimately it actually becomes safer for them too.
Hmm. Kind of counterintuitive, but it makes sense when you think about it. Less chaos, less stress for everyone behind the wheel. But speaking of drivers, I bet some people listening are thinking, hold on a minute. Less space for cars means traffic nightmares, right? What would you say to that?
Oh, I know. That's like the instant reaction, right? But studies have actually shown that the opposite can be true. Think about it. If more people felt safe and comfortable walking or biking for those short trips, there would be fewer cars clogging up the roads to begin with.
It's like that visual they use in the talking points about people circling for parking. I've totally been that frustrated driver. It's the worst.
Exactly. And that's what PP Pathways is trying to address. They want to make those quick trips so doable without a car that it actually becomes the easier, more appealing choice.
Mm.
Just imagine you need to run a quick errand hop on your bike, no problem. Dinner date. Enjoy a peaceful stroll, no stressful traffic.
Sign me up for that. Okay, so we've talked about the ideals, but let's get down to the nitty-gritty. These draft recommendations, the ones from September 10th, they were created based on community input, right? What are people actually saying about all this? This Streets in Focus map highlights some key areas.
Yeah, and it gets really specific, which I appreciate. Like slides 13 through 17, they've got the aerial photos and everything. Residents are pointing out things like all those cars jamming up Law Street by the beach access,
Yeah.
blind turns that are honestly pretty dangerous, not if bike parking on Loring.
It's one thing to hear sidewalk ends, but to actually see that photo of it just like disappearing on moorland, kind of wild. And don't even get me started on trying to get down to Moreland Bay. Wheelchair, bike, even just lugging a surfboard down there sounds like a mission.
And that's just scratching the surface.
Mm.
I'm curious, looking at all this feedback, is anything standing out to you? Anything that really resonates with your own experiences in PB?
Well, looking at the recommendations, it seems like they're really listening to those concerns. Slide 18, for example, specifically calls on the city to address those beach access points we were just talking about. It's not just acknowledging the problem, it's actually, outlining steps to fix it. Love to see that. So we're not just talking about a wish list here. There's a real plan of action. We've got the routes, the beach access, branding, intersection improvements. It's like a whole toolkit for creating better streets.
And the thing is, with all of it, they're really focused on making sure these changes benefit everyone who uses the streets. Not just drivers, not just cyclists, but everyone. And doing it in a way that is actually enjoyable, not a pain in the neck. Like with the beach access, they're not just saying, figure out how to get to the beach. They're talking about prioritizing certain access points for the pathways, addressing the lack of bike parking, dealing with those ramp issues down at Moreland.
Yes, accessibility for all. That's what I'm talking about. Everyone deserves easy access to that beautiful PB coastline.
Absolutely. And to make sure everyone can get there safely and that traffic flows smoothly, they're proposing a variety of tools for revamping intersections. And the coolest part, in my opinion, is their emphasis on those quick, low-cost changes, which they talk about in their design principles on slide 26. It's like acupuncture for streets, small tweaks Big impact.
Okay, now you've got me curious. Paint me a picture. What kind of tools are we talking about here?
Well, imagine this. You're driving up to a crosswalk and boom, there's a big sign right in the middle of it. Impossible to miss. Or picture clear, well-marked crossings so drivers and pedestrians both know exactly what's going on. And then there's daylighting, which is basically trimming back trees or buildings on corners that create blind spots so everyone can actually see each other. Oh, and they're also talking about things like extending the curb at certain intersections to shorten the crossing distance for pedestrians, using those little traffic circles that force cars to slow down, and adding pavement markings to subtly guide people in the right direction. Slides 20, 27, and 28 actually show some examples of what this would look like.
So it's like a little bit of gentle nudge, a little bit of you can't miss this design, all working together to make things safer and smoother.
Exactly. And that focus on quick, low-cost changes is key. It allows for flexibility, They can try things out, see what works, get feedback from the community, and then make more permanent changes down the line based on real-world results.
Smart. It's like a pilot program for the streets themselves. So where do things go from here? We've got all these recommendations, but what's the next step for PB pathways?
Well, slide 31 lays it all out. First things first, they need to share these recommendations with the PV planning group and town council. Then it goes to the parking district board for a vote, and assuming that all goes well, they'll start working with the city to actually implement phase 3.
So for everyone listening, you are now armed with the what, the why, and the what next of PB pathways. But, and this is important, this isn't where it ends.
Not at all. This is really just the beginning. In fact, the presentation even links to a bunch of additional background information for those who really want to dig into the details.
And don't forget, you can always attend a future meeting and voice your thoughts, share your ideas, and be a part of shaping the future of PB. This is your community, after all. It's funny, we've been spending all this time digging into the nitty-gritty of PB pathways, the plans, the recommendations, all of that. But really, this is all about the future, isn't it? What Pacific Beach will actually become.
Absolutely, yeah. It's about laying the foundation for a different kind of PB experience. One that's less reliant on cars and more focused on people and, just more sustainable living in general.
Totally. So let's have a little fun with this. If you could wave a magic wand, what are some other cool transportation ideas that PB could explore, things that aren't even mentioned in these documents?
Ooh, I love that. Let's see. Well, we're already talking about active mobility, right? So riffing off that, how about some kind of e-bike sharing program? Those are popping up everywhere. And it would make it super easy for people to ditch their cars, without having to break a sweat.
Right. And PB is practically made for cruising around on two wheels.
Exactly. Or, here's another one. What about dedicated micromobility lanes along the boardwalk? Imagine, like, scooters and those one-wheeled things zipping along with the ocean breeze.
Okay, now that is a Pacific Beach postcard waiting to happen. Love it.
And going even further, what about, like, pedestrian-only zones during certain hours, like during peak beach hours? Why not make it all about the people who are actually there to enjoy the beach, not just passing through in their cars?
Ooh, bold move. I like it. It would definitely create a different vibe, right? Less about fighting for parking and more about just like soaking it all in.
For sure. These are just a few ideas off the top of my head, of course.
Yeah.
I think the most exciting possibilities will come from the community itself.
100%. So to everyone listening, you've heard it here first. Well, maybe not first, but you get what I mean. The point is, we've given you the PB Pathways download, but more importantly, we want you to ask questions. Share your ideas. What kind of forward-thinking transportation solutions do you think would make PB even more vibrant, even more livable?
Exactly. We've given you the information, but your voice is what matters now. So get out there, attend a meeting, and make your mark on the future of PB.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that's a wrap on our deep dive into PB Pathways. Hope you found it insightful, engaging, and maybe even got those creative wheels turning. Until next time, keep learning, keep asking those what-if questions, and keep diving deep.